Hey everybody, how's it going? SaltyOctopus here. I just got finished playing the closed alpha playtest for Tribes 3 Rivals. So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of recap my experience and share that with you guys. Now, if you haven't watched one of my Player Nay videos before, know that it is not a formal review. This is just me kind of talking on top of gameplay footage, reacting live to the footage, and then at the end kind of summarizing whether or not I think you should play or not play this game. So first off, I want it to be known that I am not a Tribes player. I'm very new to the FPS Z genre. When everybody was playing Tribes, I was busy playing Quake. My very first experience with an FPS Z was with Midair 2, which I did a video on earlier this year. But the fact that I'm not an experienced FPS Z player gives me a different perspective, which I think is valuable for those people trying to get into Tribes for the very first time. I'm also not blinded by nostalgia. I don't know the feel of previous Tribes games, and I have no connection with those games. So for better or for worse, there is no bias on my side here. I am simply trying to talk about my experience, what I enjoyed, what I didn't like, and what I think can be improved upon. Alright, so let's get into it. So, unbeknownst to me, I'm actually already loaded into the game where it says waiting for players here. Now, I found this out much later, but you can actually open your equipment menu and you can start to equip the weapons and the items that you're going to play with. I think an indicator would have been really helpful here to let people know that they can actually start loading up their classes. I also think it would be very beneficial for this game to include the ability to have loadouts already pre-built, and so when you did load into the game, you could select those loadouts and just have them ready to rock and roll as soon as the game started. Because there's this little brief waiting period when the map begins, and it would be nice to be ready before that, because otherwise you have to waste a few precious seconds clicking around through your loadout, which is exactly what I'm doing right here. So this is actually my very first game of Tribes 3. I didn't really know what I was doing at this point. I was just kind of clicking some weapons and items that looked good and just kind of going for it. As I said at the start of the video, I've never really played FPS Z as a genre. I think I dabbled a little bit with Tribes Vengeance way back in the day just for a couple hours with some friends. But other than that, my experience has been incredibly limited. I did play some Midair 2, but I'm not going to be comparing Tribes 3 to Midair 2. I think it's way too early to do that. It's not fair to either game, and it's just not really appropriate for this setting. Instead, I just want to focus primarily on my experience here and what I was kind of doing as a noob, which is kind of funny. I have no idea what I'm doing as a noob. As you can see right here, I'm just simply using the sniper rifle, and it wasn't until much later that I realized that the sniper rifle was not super great in this game. But, you know, that's just kind of how it goes with new players. They jump into a game and they just kind of start to wing it. And it's not until you have a couple games under your belt you start to really figure out the mechanics. And I would say that Tribes is one of those games where you're going to pick it up and you're going to shoot some people and feel pretty good because, you know, you've played shooters before and you'll have a sniper rifle and you think you know what you're doing with it. But when you start to use the disc launcher and some of these other weapons, that's when Tribes starts to become more difficult to master. And that's when you really start to separate the new players from the experienced players. And when you're playing against these players, you can definitely tell who's played Tribes before and who are the new players that are just starting to get into the game. But as you watch me play through this video, I want you to pay attention to how I kind of suck at the start of this video, and then towards the end, I'm starting to get a lot of kills, I'm starting to figure out how to ski, and I think that that's a testament to this game and how, yes, it has difficult mechanics, and yes, it can be hard to learn, but once you start to get the swing of it, once you start to kind of figure a few things out, you can actually start to really play, do some stuff that you haven't done before, and you can see yourself improve in a short amount of time, which I was able to do, and it's really exciting. And that just makes you start to think, okay, now that I'm starting to get there, just wait until I can fly around the map like these guys. Just wait till I can be from one side of the map to the other in 2 seconds. And that's the kind of stuff that makes me personally excited to play Tribes 3 and to kind of get into this genre a little bit more. Like right there when I hit that shot on that guy in the air, that felt so good. And I was like, okay, now I just got to figure out how to shoot people like that over and over and translate them into kills. So we're going to fast forward now to some of my later recordings. This was later on in the playtest as it was winding down, and at this point I had started to get a little bit more familiar with the game and with the mechanics. And I just wanted to demonstrate in this opening clip here. You can see how my skiing is already improved. I'm getting speed, I'm getting height, and then watch how I aim on this first guy. I'm very proud of this kill, I'm not going to lie to you. Made me feel like I was a Tribes pro. And shots like that, ladies and gentlemen, those are the mid-air shots that all Tribes players seek. That's the high that they chase. That's the reason they come back to play this game over and over and over again. And I can relate to that. I used to be a big Hunt Showdown player, and there's nothing more satisfying than that headshot sound in Hunt Showdown. And that was the high that I used to seek when I played that game. And so I can relate to that feeling, and once you have a taste of hitting mid-air shots like that, it just really makes you want to keep going for them. Keep improving so you can just hit those shots more consistently. And that's how I felt during this playtest. And I have to say, I was legitimately bummed out when the playtest ended. And it was refreshing for me to have a game that made me feel this way. So now that I've demonstrated a little bit of my evolution from a newbie Tribes player to somebody who had several hours into it, do not claim at all to be good at this game by any stretch of the imagination. I just started to hit a couple of cool shots. But once I had that feeling, I really walked away going, okay, I could see myself sinking some time into this game. But let's talk about what I think a lot of people are going to want to hear about, the nuts and bolts of this game. How the game actually felt. How the skiing felt, how the gunplay felt, what were the classes like, what were the weapons like. I want to cover that. So I never really played the light class, as I know many people capping the flag play light, and I didn't feel like a confident enough skier to take the light class slot, so I decided to not try it very much. The one time I did play it, the game crashed, so I took that as a sign to stay away. And I'm not worried about the game crashing in the alpha, by the way. It's an alpha, and I'm sure those issues are being addressed. I did play a decent amount of medium and heavy classes. Medium felt a little too weak in my opinion, but I think that's mostly because of how strong heavy was. There was a ton of talk in the Discord about how strong heavy was, and I agree. They have a very large health pool, and with the survivalist perk, which heals a player to full when picking up health items, a good heavy player just doesn't die. I think the heavy needs to be scaled back in the next playtest, or the medium class needs a buff to stand a better chance in duels against heavies. And speaking about perks, there are several of them, but I really only ran the survivalist perk every game because it was so strong, and I do think that it does need some adjusting because it's so strong. A lot of the players in the Discord were talking about how strong it is, and I'm pretty sure 90% of the people playing the playtest were only using the survivalist perk. You see, every player drops a health nugget when they die, and while I think this is awesome because it allows a player to heal after every duel, a good player can really be unstoppable, healing to full health after every fight. As to the weapons I used, I don't have footage of them, but the grenade launchers and the fusion mortars felt perfect, and I think they were well balanced. I also think the various disc launchers also felt great. The gunplay in this game just feels solid. The Honor Fuser was the disc launcher I used the most, and it only does damage with a direct hit, and it kind of feels like a railgun in Quake. It's a very high risk, high reward weapon. However, I did feel there was a problem a little bit with the hit registration, and it felt off to me at times. I'm sure that will be tightened up during the development, but that's definitely something that was a little bit of a negative in my opinion. As for the BXT1 sniper rifle, it's very weak and it takes too many shots to kill. It does steal energy away from players, but the phase rifle does almost 3 times the damage and can actually kill people. And so I think players are going to favor the phase rifle because of this. So in my opinion, there needs to be a buff to the BXT1 rifle or nobody's ever going to use it. The chain gun on the heavy class felt way too strong. I think this is because there's no real counterplay to the chain gun and it just rips players. I don't know if it needs to be scaled back or what, but it's a frustrating weapon to fight against. And then as for the rest of the weapons, they all seemed pretty good except for the pistol, which felt pretty useless and it needs a major buff. As for movement, to me the game felt great. There were moments where I lost momentum and it felt like I was in quicksand trying to get my speed back. I think if the developer can find a way to smooth out that transition and make it faster, slowing down to speed back up will feel much less clunky. There is also a ski boost, which is where you can dash a bit when you hit shift, and that's new to Tribes. It's a controversial topic, however I really liked it and it felt good to use. It made running on the ground more tolerable, and to be honest, I would like it to be faster with a shorter cooldown. I actually asked the community Discord what Tribes 1 and Tribes 2 players thought about skiing and movement in this game, and that purposely loaded question had mixed feedback. I think the general consensus is that the game feels good. Different, but good. However, there are oddities that need to get sorted out. For example, sometimes the physics feel good, and other times you'll do things like ricochet off of a hill instead of skiing off of it. Most players seem to feel the movement needs to be faster, and the jetpacks need 5% to 10% more energy as they run out way too fast, and I can agree with that. Many veterans like the ski boost, but a few felt like it should be disabled when carrying the flag. Now, I can't tell a good map from a bad map in Tribes. I just don't have enough experience with this game to really know a balanced map or not. So I did ask the Discord their opinion, and most everybody said that the maps all seemed balanced and that the ski routes were all really good. And that was almost unanimous feedback from what I could tell. A few more features that people were talking about were wanting to see vehicles and larger bases added, taunts, emotes, different commands you could use in game, and a lot of people felt that the flag carrier icon was way too big and it obscured the player, and I have to agree with that one. Graphically, the game looks great. It's built with Unreal Engine and it plays really smooth. Other than a few hit reg issues, the game itself, it runs great, it feels great, and it looks really cool. I like the character models. I think they're unique and interesting. I love the way that their capes flap around. I love the way that they have these little spiky things that open up when they're jetpacking. And the weapons all look really good as well. And the gunplay is very satisfying. They just have good feedback to them, and when you hit that shot, it just feels so nice. My game only crashed once during the alpha, and there was only one real bug that I experienced where the health nugget was under the ground and I couldn't pick it up. And I did see a clip on Twitch of somebody having a similar issue with the flag going in the ground and nobody being able to pick it up. But those are simple issues. They should be simple issues that the developer can fix for sure. So there you have it. That's kind of my breakdown of Tribes 3 Rivals and the closed alpha playtest. I walked away feeling very favorable about this game. I'm very excited for this game. I'm going to be following this game. I'm going to be participating in the Discord, etc., etc. So yes, it's safe to say I think you guys should definitely follow this one. And if you have the chance to get into the next playtest, you should definitely try to play this game, especially if you're a Tribes fan. I think you're going to love it. Now I'm going to let the rest of this game that you've been watching play out, but that's where I'm going to stop talking and end the video. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching. I'm SaltyOctopus, and I will see you next time. Happy fragging.